Hello my brothers and sisters of the Order, welcome back to the Order. I'm Celtic Templar, and today y'all we are talking about a famous woman in history who has been both famous but yet forgotten by many people, and that is none other than Deborah Sampson. Now if any of y'all don't know who Deborah Sampson is a famous woman in history in which we are going to be talking about her famously for her iconic role in the American Revolution and her iconic role in life. Now, in such, Deborah Sampson was born on December 17, 1760 at Plymouth, Massachusetts. She was stated to have been born into a modest family household, or in this case, middle-class family household. However, it's stated that while she was very young, it's stated that her father had actually abandoned her and her family and then remarried some area in Massachusetts, or some say in Maine. It's later stated that in such, her mother couldn't actually, support her family, so she had her children live with many other family members, or as well, even friends. In such, it's stated that her mother later on died soon after this. Deborah would later stay in this position, while in 1770, she was then sent to live with the Jeremiah Thomas family. It's stated that at this point in time, she was to become an indentured servant until 1778. And now you know what indentured servitude is. Indentured servitude is technically this idealism of a legal way to say slavery, meaning it's a way to work off debt. However, it still technically is slavery, seen as though most of the time indentured servitude was actually placed on children, especially those who barely even survived. And most of them would die in child age. Most of them dying somewhere around between 8 to 10 years old. It's stated that Deborah would stay in this position from 10 years, for, about 8 years until she turned 18. But all while she lived in the Jeremiah household, it was stated that she had learned to read and write off of the fact of Jeremiah's sons, in which it stated that Jeremiah did not exactly approve of this. He even stated, out loud that women should not learn to read or write. It is not exactly their right to be given so. Yeah, I don't know how I should put that, but that is kind of a little messed up if you ask me. However, soon after reaching the age of 18, it's actually stated that Deborah would actually became a teacher from 1779 to 1780 during the summer months. It's actually stated that if now y'all understand, this is a role in history that women never did. Most of the time, the only people that were teachers were men. And that's actually saying something. So she actually became something that which most women ever dreamed of becoming. It's actually stated that upon this, it would actually be during the winter or spring months or the rest of the year that she would pretty much be doing various other jobs, such as weaver, farmer, as well as many other side jobs, such as even tavern wench, or in this case, tavern barkeeper, and as well, she would even become, a woodworker or woodworking type of woman, and as well, she lived on the frontier, and even went as far as to even, become a metal attribute. In other words, she worked with metal. Now, that meant that she bulked up incredibly quick for her time, and it's actually stated that she could lift a boulder a lot better than a man could, while a man could easily just have to deal with the fact of breaking his own back. And another important attribute we have to put about her is her height. It's stated that she was 5 foot 9 inches, while the average woman height at that time was 5 feet inches, and the average man height at the time was 5 feet 6 inches, or 5 feet and 8 inches, meaning she was tall, and I'm 5 foot 11, so that's saying something. In fact, many historians and doctors actually state that she might have suffered from giantism, which giantism is a real thing, and many people do suffer from it. However, she kind of might have suffered from it from her own attribute, and it is stated, though, that she would later on, by the time in history of the said 1782, she would later on join the United States Continental Congress. It stated she tried first doing it in her hometown, or the town she lived in, by the name of Timothy Taylor. It did not work out so well because she was caught red-handed since everyone in the town knew her. But it is stated, though, that did not stop her. She then later on tried in the May of that year and then joined the 4th Massachusetts Regiment under the name of Robert Shirtliffe, which it's actually stated that she became a private in the United States Military Congress, or Continental Congress in this case. Now, it's actually later on stated that in July 3rd of 1782, Deborah would actually see her first battle and taste of combat just outside the town of Tarrytown, New York. It was said that she had taken 2 musket balls to her leg, and as well, what's also more impressive, she even took a saber wound to her forehead. Now, I don't want to be alarming anybody, but you gotta admit, this is one hell of a woman, because she took incredible damage to her body, but this is not the only most important thing. In order to avoid from being revealed that she was a woman, she actually was stated to have told her comrades not to take her to a hospital. They still took her to a hospital. It stated the doctor did tend to her wound to her head first, but she managed to sneak away in order to deal with the wounds in her leg. Because if she revealed that she was a man, it would, or at least wasn't a man, it would not work. Because now I hear many people already asking this, Templar, why would she need? How does this ever contribute to it if she has bullets in her leg? Well, smart guys, here's the thing. Males have junk. Females do not. Get the picture? She's going to have to take down her pants in order for this to work. Because one major thing we have to understand is you can't for any doctor, especially at that time, you don't want to have clothing on your said person that you're working on. It'd be kind of pretty much very hard to do that, and it would actually infest her with the said clothing. So what they would have to do is remove it. So yeah, you can see the problem with that. It's actually stated that she would actually remove the bullets herself. That's right. All without any anesthetic at the time. And that's saying something. She would actually use this with nothing more than a penknife and a sewing needle. She could only remove one of them. The other bullet was so deep in and as well too dangerously close to a femoral artery that she had to leave it in there for the rest of her life. And as such, her leg never fully healed. Now, you gotta admit, she is one hell of a badass for actually doing this. You gotta admit, you gotta be a tough lady to do anything like that. However, in the summer of 1783, it was stated that she would later fall ill in Philadelphia and was cared for by a Dr. Benny. It's actually stated that this would later on cause him to actually, inform the Continental Congress of this issue. It was stated that she was later honorably discharged from the United States military at West Point, New York on October 25th, 1783. And now, that's actually saying something incredible about her. She would actually honorably discharge, when in such, most women at that time never served in the Army. Now, she was actually one of the few women who have done so, and she even stated on one famous quote on why she thought it was, an idea to do it. And she stated, "Because I love my country and such. I have nothing else better to do in my life rather than to serve my country." In which she was actually strong for a woman. It's actually stated she could easily lift up I'm not kidding, this actually happened in one of the camps. Apparently there was the arm wrestle or whatever, in which females, everyone knows this, a man has to show off. Guess what? They gotta show off. And they make fun of, Deborah Sampson because of the fact, since she was a woman, she couldn't grow a beard, so they picked on her because she wasn't growing a beard, and she stated she was too young to actually grow a beard yet. So, guess what? They challenged her to show off her manhood when, you know what I mean, she was a female, but you get my point. In such, she actually bested each man that actually tried to beat her in an arm wrestling competition. Every man, she actually was stated to have thrown their arms so viciously down that it stated that some of their hands actually felt sore the next day, just from the impact upon a table. So you gotta admit of how strong this woman was. So I can just imagine on the horrified idea on what you might face. But the thing is, it's actually stated that she's probably one of America's most famous badasses in history. It's stated that in January of 1782 she was then actually given a full her full military pensions after long withdrawal, and as such, she was even given with interest for that many time, since she was not in the United States military. And it was actually later on stated that in April 7th of 1785, she was married to Benjamin Gannett, of which they had 3 children and as well 1 adopted orphan. Now, another famous thing is what she did soon after the war, and in 1802, she was actually stated to have given lectures and as well many forms of historical traits, and as well gone back to teaching mostly. And now, at her lectures, she would have actually dressed as the full military uniform that she did wear. And the incredible thing, though, is she would actually wear this right in front of everyone, and they all believed that she was a man. That was until she would reveal it, that she was a woman. It stated she would keep this up until her dying days, when she was stated to have died from yellow fever at the age of 66 on April 29th, 1827. She was kind of a really cool person in history. Now, if you ask me, she is probably a major role model for any United States military woman, which, if any military females see this, give it a likes up for this woman, because she is kind of probably one of my favorite badasses in American history of the female area. Well, yeah, pretty much. You can get my point. But she was kind of one of the coolest people ever, if you understand it. Because you have to have, I want to say balls of steel, but I can't exactly use this because she's a woman, so breasts of steel? Nah, that still doesn't make any sense. If any of y'all have any ideas of what type of idea of steel I should pronounce this as, because I can't exactly call it balls of steel, so we gotta call it something. She has to have something of steel, or something. You gotta understand, she was hardcore, because it's not every day a woman can easily take a saber wound to the skull and survive, let alone get shot in the leg with musket balls. So you gotta admit, if she was that hardcore, you gotta admit she was one hell of a woman. So, just imagine actually facing off against her in battle and think that she was a man. Many men would have actually mistaken her for a woman. And actually, she would be a major role model for some women who actually later on fought in the War of 1812, I hear. However, not that many were actually stated to have actually fought in the War of 1812s in the female. In fact, many females did try to disguise themselves, but it did not work out then. But in the American Civil War, it somehow did, with some women actually doing this, and so did some on both this north and southern side during the early parts of the war. However, the South mostly had a little bit more in order to defend their homes. So, you can see the thing. But she is still one of my favorite American heroes of the American Revolutions out there, because of the fact she is so brave for her courageous ideas of fighting for her country, even though she is of the opposite sex. Now, if you don't understand, back then, if a woman was actually caught doing this, she would be court-martialed, and if you don't know what that means, she would have been shot, or hung, or something. In fact, it was a little different back in the 18th century, so yeah, it's kind of confusing. But still, though, she's probably one of the most coolest people you can ever meet out there. This is why, I don't know why, it's just cool to actually understand how cool she is. Because, well, one, it's not every day you see someone do that. And today, though, I always have to say she is probably one of the major females that most females should look to for, well, inspiration on, well, that type of idea. In fact, she didn't exactly, well, fight like most people did. She actually showed that she was equal to a man in every type of form and way. And you gotta admit, though, she is probably one of a major inspiration to many military females in the present-day military army. So, if any of y'all females out there, please give a like and subscribe for this heroic woman. As well, guys, if y'all have any inspirational heroes, such as any females especially, also let me know in the comments below. Also, like and subscribe for more notifications from the next video we're going to have. Anyways, guys, also check out our well, any more information we have on Facebook. And as well, if any of y'all have any other questions about her, I will leave links down below and info down in the description down below. Anyways, guys, it's been Templar. Have a great day, and happy Independence Month.